Hello and welcome along to another episode of The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 6, Episode 5, and today we start our journey at the 5th club of the series after our first sacking of the save so far. If you don't know why we're here at Salford City looking to face Burnley today, you do need to go back and check out the last one. We had lots of action, including a sacking, unemployment and a job hunt, of course, and we also met all of the new players, staff and squad that's essential, so make sure you go and check that one out, and then pop back over when you're done for our first game. We'll be facing Burnley today, a side that are competing right at the top of the league. That's followed by Fulham, who have had a pretty poor start, and as it stands with 5 points from safety in the Championship, expected to finish bottom by the media, the manager lefty went to Preston, who are bottom 10 behind us, so our main aim for the season is to finish above them, to prove that Salford haven't got a worse manager. But for us, it's all about trying to get the best out of the team till January. We noticed there were a couple of gaping holes when we did our squad review yesterday, and we've really got to try and resolve that in January. Our director of football's got to get to work. We need him to do something desperately. But you can see he's not going to have much wiggle room because the finances are looking absolutely woeful. I'm not quite sure why the club's in such a bad position. They're getting Championship budgets and the wages aren't humongous here. But either way, they are in a bit of trouble there. They've still got 600 grand to spend and about 10 grand left on the wage bill. And I'm sure a few will be leaving the club as well, as in some positions they've got 7 or 8 players and in some they've only got 1 or 2. So we're going to go and get into the game today. We'll meet our tactic as well before we do that. I've got to talk about people who are unavailable first though. You'll remember in the last episode we said central midfield was the biggest problem. We've got no one bar Joe Williams there, and the first notice I got was that he'd be suspended for 2 further games, so he's now going to miss the first 2 matches of my tenure, and that'll take us almost through to Christmas then, so that's a bit of a worry going into the rest of the month. And then Nicky Devlin, the first choice right back's out, so he's going to be missing for the next week or 2, and then also Nathan Teller, a winger, probably not first choice but would have been up there on the bench. He's going to be out for another week or so too, so a couple of players that won't quite make it today. But before we go and see the rest of the bad news, meet the tactic and see the makeshift team we've gone for, a massive thank you to everyone who continues to follow the series. Welcome along to any Salford fans who are new to it. If you are looking forward to it, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments, of course, how you think we'll get on today. I'm interested to see your thoughts. Do you have any faith in me at all? As we come up against John Terry's Burnley, they're just 4 points off the automatic promotion places. If you haven't already and you're looking forward to this Salford stint, please subscribe for daily FM20 content from both of my long-term stories. This one will be back in a couple of days' time, of course. I'm sure we'll have plenty of action in the January transfer window. And also in the meantime, we'll be back with Dorking Wanderers, our one-club series from top to bottom. We're taking them from the lowest playable league in England and all the way up to the top of the pyramid. So it probably means bottom to top is a better idea of that one. But either way, let's go and look at the dynamics. I've introduced to the lads, it's made no difference at all. Everything's average. We've got a failure on our CV now. Of course, they're not going to be completely convinced by us, and their manager left to go to a bigger club reputation-wise, so I can understand why they're a little bit sceptical. But let's go and have a look at the tactic we've gone for, head through the preview into today's game, and we'll talk in detail about why we've picked the team we've had and what we're looking forward to in January too. So it's Salford v Burnley, 23rd v 4th. We're in woeful form. They've won 2 of their last 3, and they're heavy odds-on favourites to win this game, despite having a couple of little injuries themselves. So they've been playing 4-4-2 most of the time, Salford, though it does say the preferred formations are 4-1-4-1. I've no idea how they can do that because they definitely haven't got 3 central midfielders, but we are sold out today. It's a pretty local derby. Burnley, a Lancashire side, of course. So let's go and get into the team selection, see the 11 we've picked. We've got a bit of familiar tactic for the channel in this year's edition of the game, and we've also got a lot of players to talk about as well. So let's amend the roles and duties and we'll be back to discuss it in a moment. So this is what we've gone for. We've tried to negate the fact that we haven't got any central midfielders by limiting it to 2. We've got a lot of good wingers, a couple of very good strikers, and our defence isn't too bad bar right back, to be honest. That's going to be our backup right midfielder playing there for now, and then Nicky Devlin probably will come back in after. But for now, we've gone through all of our tactical instructions. We picked the wing play that we normally do. We did that in the earlier saves. We normally do that with lower league clubs. So at Dorking at first, and when we were in the non-league in terms of our other series, I think at Kettering we played this tactic for a while, just trying to keep things as defensive and solid as possible. But going forward, we still want to have those 4 up the pitch. We've got our inverted winger as normal. We've got our front 2 who we're going to try and combine, and then in January we'll either get a number 10 or a holding midfielder, fingers crossed. We've got to get someone in there surely. I mean, bar the suspended Williams, there is no one rated 2.5 star or more. We've got a couple of players, one we plucked out the under 23s, a transfer listed 34-year-old who can't move in the middle today, so I'm expecting us to get overrun humongously, but for us it's just about trying to go direct, trying to score goals, and hoping we can nick a 3-3 or a 4-4, whatever it takes to get points on the board. So if we can get to January and not lose the gap of 5 points any further, I'll actually be pretty confident moving into the window. We need to get central midfielders in though. It's such a big weakness in the team, and if we do that, I'll feel a little bit more relaxed and hopefully give ourselves a chance of staying up. So we've got wing backs in defensive areas too. One of them was a right winger, so we didn't have a choice, and the left back prefers that role, and he's one of the best players at the club, so I've got to go and oblige that tactic too. There's a few players who are struggling partnership wise. Both of the centre halves, it's just little things that are the problem. So Astley and Sykes as an example, both of them prefer to be on the right of a two-man centre half partnership. You can't both be on the right, so they haven't thought that through in terms of recruiting, and that's one thing that does really worry me with the director of football. It's just those little silly things that make partnerships that they don't seem to have thought about. It looks as if they've gone out and said, what's the best possible player we can get for this role, and just pick them regardless. And that's caused a few troubles with them looking like a team, but otherwise we'll do the best we can. Let's talk a little bit about the tactic. We're on balance for now. We may drop to cautious if we need to, but if we look at our in possession, it's all about getting it wide and getting it forward. We're going to hit early crosses as well. I forgot to put that one on. Let's whip them in the box. We always prefer that. We're going to play wide, maybe not extremely wide for now. I don't want the two middle lads getting overrun. Once we've got Williams back who can run galore, then we will play a little bit wider, of course. High tempo, more direct. Get it into the box, will ya? Distribute to flanks. Again, it's going wide. We're not distributing quickly. The main reason for that is that I want to make sure that we've got good players in position. We need to make sure we have a good tactical shape. We need to look after those two central midfielders as well. So we're going to make sure that we do that for now. We haven't got a target man, which is the only thing that doesn't suit this tactic. No one who can really hold it up. But we have got a false nine who can get on the knockdowns, and hopefully he'll cause a little bit of trouble. Again, when we lose possession, we're not going for the regroup or counter press just yet. I want to leave it in the middle just to give it a little bit more time to adapt. The lads don't want to be changing too much. I did go back to the regroup, but it's not something they've been doing before. So we've kind of compromised in the middle there, and we're going to make things as solid as possible. We're also going to stay on our feet. That's the most important one. We hate getting bookings at this level, but the one positive, as you can see, is 10 of the 11 are in their preferred roles, so they should be able to perform to their best of their ability. Whether that's good enough to stay in the championship, we're never going to know, and the answer's probably not, but at least they're going to give it the best possible shout. So apart from the right back who's unfit at the moment, everyone in their preferred role, everyone completely green on the wheel there. It's Horgard in goal, Ogilvie and John are the fullbacks, with Sykes and Astley the two centre halves, Charlesworth out of the under-23s alongside Richie Towell, the experienced central midfielder, Dave Cole the superstar on the right wing, still no technical ability, but he has got plenty of pace to burn, and then Edwards cutting in as an inverted winger off the left, with Brown and Chaplin up front. So you can see the two central midfielders in very defensive roles. We've got a central midfielder on defend and a deep line playmaker on support. We just don't want them getting caught out of position. We need to protect the centre halves in particular, and up front we're going to have a little bit of space, and they may well get isolated, but we'll try our very best to keep them involved. But into the game we go. Let me know what you think of the tactic, whether we can get any sort of result out of today. We have got a few good subs on the wings, but they're all in wide positions. Bar Michael Hector, the centre half, he could come on as a holding midfielder. That's something I've looked at if we're leading in any games, just to bring Hector on as a shield in front of the back too, just to maybe give us a little bit more towards the end of the game. But his decision making doesn't really fit with that, so that's something I'll have to worry about too. But on the bench we have got a few decent players, so let's just go and get into our first one with Salford. Do you think we can get a positive result? Will we get a new manager bounce? Doesn't look like it from the dynamic screen. And Burnley, of course, one of the best sides in the league, so this is going to be a very tough test. In we go though, let's see if we can do it. 4-3-3 for Burnley then, much more traditional formation at this level. Bar Furlong at right back, I don't really recognise many of them. Our Jack Cork's in there, we've got to be fair with that one. Sterling on the bench, Chris Wood's still there. There's a few decent players at the club, so let's just go and get into it via the dressing room. Encourage the lads. Let's go and end this poor form. Don't forget we joined this club winless in 8 games, so it's going to be very hard to get that back. It's a small little stadium, we've not got too much support, though it is a sellout today, we've got to be fair there. And with 5 minutes gone, we've not had much possession. We got used to that in the early years with Dorking in the other series, and with Kettering in the first season, to be fair. We know this tactic doesn't give us possession at all. We've just got to try and nick a goal on the break. 25 gone, it's a corner kick to Burnley. This isn't a good position. From set pieces, we've got to be stronger. It should be one of our strengths. It's headed over the bar, but it was a free header, and that's cause for concern in the first time this half. Burnley have had all the shots, 2 on target. They've not really created much in terms of highlights worth seeing, but we're yet to have a shot whatsoever, so it looks like we're going to be clinging on for a point. Goal kick for Horgard, just 2 minutes to the break. Can we get on the end of it? We can't. John's not even challenged for that. It's a little bit of a worry. Kyle Kyle, in fact it was, sorry. Dave Kyle over on the right wing. He's the one who's got caught out. All the Kyles confusing me. We've got a Kyle Edwards on the left wing, a Kyle John at right back, and a Dave Kyle on the right hand side of midfield. But half time 0-0. Burnley not created too much in truth. They've had a few chances and we've not had any. But if we can get 0-0, that's a fantastic result. And we've just got to hope the fans get behind us and understand that we have to play like this for the next 3 weeks. Then we need our director of football to really come to the rescue. Find me a star lone player if nothing else. But with a corner to defend again, I'm a little bit concerned. Manu's delivery's been good. It's dropped down. It's knocked off the line. Bobbling around for dear life in there. Kyle gets it out though, and now we've got a chance to counter. It's the one thing Dave Kyle has, his pace. He's being caught still. That doesn't bode well, but he's beaten his man. Delivers to the box, headed away in a 6-yard line. 2 strikers, but none of them up in support, although we have got a throw here on the right hand side. Here's John into Charlesworth, the central midfielder, loses it immediately. We just haven't got the quality in possession. The 2 central midfielders robbed of it again. You can see even from the match rating there a weakness. It's into Preaker and he's got a great save out of us. What a save Horgard makes there. Ashley hacks behind for a corner kick and it remains 0-0 with just under an hour gone. We've got the corner to defend, and Manu's going to take it. Can we see it out here? We've still only had 2 shots all game as it's back in again, bobbling all over the place. Don't let them score a slide tackle. Eventually we clear another goalmouth scramble and it seems like they're happening 3 or 4 times a game. We yet to have a shot on target. We're still creating on the break though. We are having a little bit of pressure on them. We've got to do more than we are at the moment. So I think it's time to be a little bit bolder, don't you? Richie Towell's going to be replaced. He's 34. He's physically awful. We're going to bring on Charlie Savage in central midfield. We've got a central midfielder on attack's his preferred role. Maybe as a Mazzala. In fact, you know what? We'll leave him as a deep line playmaker. On support, he's fairly good at that. He's an excellent passer of the ball. His vision's fantastic. His touch is fantastic. The problem is everything else he's useless at. But either way, he'll do a job for now. On the left wing, we've got Kyle Edwards struggling. 6.5, so let's replace him. Ahmed Salam is our backup player over there. He's a proper left winger, left-footed only. At 24, he's got 9 caps for Egypt. So I'm sure he'll be able to create something on the break and maybe put in some crosses to the box. So let's get him on. 2 subs made. I'm saving the last one in case we want a holding midfielder. But with 20 to go, I'm really proud of the performance so far. They're fighting hard even though they're nowhere near as good. We got a throw on the right though. Let's see what we do with it. Is Charlesworth going to lose the ball again? He's not, but he only goes back to halfway. We don't look like we want to go towards the Burnley goal. Savage out to Kyle. He's got an overlap. Doesn't go for it though. Charlesworth knocks it for Brown. It's John on the right. Delivers into the box. Headed away as far as the edge. And he's cleared long. We haven't got those central midfielders in support. They're sitting so deep so they don't get on the end of them. It's dropped down to the edge and the Burnley player's always there. And Sterling picks it up on the right for them. Coming over halfway. There's no pressure on him. Skins the team just like that. Goes for the shot. It's miles wide at the post. We'll let him do that all day long. When we're 15 left, we're still clinging on. But it's going to be a long old 10 minutes to the end of this match. 6 minutes to go. We're going to make the change after this highlight. Let's just get the ball forward first though. Brown down for Savage and Charlesworth. Savage in the middle. We need to get the ball wide. Don't get robbed in possession again. He doesn't, but his pass is absolutely aimless. Burnley go long. Sterling's going to be in. They've got a 2-on-1 in the box there. Sterling to the byline. Good save for Wood. He puts it in for 1-0. And we're going to go attacking with 5 remaining. We might as well make the final change in a more attacking way there. The lads are anxious. I don't know why. They're playing really well. Ogilvie struggling physically. So Tom Field will come on at left back. And we're just going to see if we can nick one on the break. But it looks like the hard work's going to leave for nothing. We do expect it to lose this game. And to be honest, I didn't expect it to go to the final 5. We're going to demand more, see if they'll go forward, but we can't even get the goal kicks past halfway. What's Horgard's rating? I've got to have a look. It looks like Burnley are going to score again while we do that. His kicking rating's 15, but he's got kicking it as long as possible. It's a very strange setup. Shackleton scores for 2, and Burnley have opened the floodgates now. We hold on for 85, but as soon as they get one, it's open. They've had 30 shots, 17 on target. It's remarkable they've only scored 2, really, and it looks like we're going to fall to defeat now, despite a really spirited performance from the boys. Central midfield's the clear problem. Almost every highlight started with Charlesworth losing the ball in the middle. Savage picks it up on the edge. He finds Charlesworth again. Can he get the ball out wide? He does this time to John. Can we at least get a goal? That would be a positive. Headed away as far as Salam. But again, no one on the edge of the box. We need that number 10 role. And I'm tempted to drop Chaplin back slightly as Salam picks it up on the left again. Here's Tom Field. 4 minutes of stoppage time added on. Charlesworth in. Brown knocks it in. What a save by Summerskill. Volleyed onto the post, but it's a brilliant save. Although the flag was later up for offside. side. 2-0 defeat is not the best start. Performance-wise, we're spirited and we've done our best, but against a side chasing promotion, we were never going to do better. And I know we can't tell the lads it's disappointing. I'm just going to say they're a little unlucky. Richie Baker's been a little harsh on them, so we're not going to worry about him too much. But our first game does end in defeat with Salford City, despite a really hard-working, spirited performance. So there we go, despite holding on for 85, Burnley coast past us according to the media. Chris Wood and Jamie Shackleton with late goals. The fact they can still bring people like Chris Wood off the bench. I mean, look at him, he's on 50 grand a week, worth 7.5 million, he's coming off the bench. Our top paid players on about, what, 6 or 7 grand? There might be 1 or 2 on a bit more, let me just double check. £8,000 the left back Ogilvie. He's the highest paid player at the club. He's on 6 times more Chris Wood, and he comes off the bench at 33 to score, 39 international goals. It's a different level of player. Jamie Shackleton again, 25 years of age, he's worth 43 grand a week, £12 million he's worth, he's scoring goals galore, he's always going to be a threat for them, and from midfield we just can't cope with people like that. So Zach Brown is fouled to end his goal trail, the former Grimsby striker yet to score for the club. Where were they playing? League 2. So he stepped straight back up from League 2, that's really a big step up for him, and no wonder we're struggling a bit. We're signing players from 2 divisions below, and although Zach Brown's going to be a very good player, physically and technically, he just doesn't believe he's a championship player yet. He's a problem we've had at Luton Town in real life with a few people stepping up 2 years in a row. We know what to expect and it is very difficult, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to keep them up. But the January transfer window's just round the corner. We've only got 3 or 4 more games before that point. The FA Cup we're not too worried about. It is a big tie against Wolves, and in fact that will be our next double header on camera. Wolves at home and Leeds at home in a championship. Leeds running away with it at the top of the league. Wolves a Premier League side still. Where are they? 3rd in the Premier League. It couldn't be a much tougher test than that. Just as we expected with Wolves' trajectory, it is still going up in this series, and that's going to be a massive double header for us, and hopefully a week or 2 into the transfer window we might have 1 or 2 midfielders to talk about. Of course we'll have no say in that, no impact at all. We've got no say in transfers, contracts or staffing in this series. We've set our director of football and all our responsibilities up. The good news is we already had one here of course, but based on the summer business I'm a little concerned about that, so fingers crossed he'll get to action soon. But in the meantime, if you did enjoy this first episode with Salford, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you thought of the performance. I think it was the best we could have hoped for. We tried our best, we were defensively solid. It was only when we went attacking with 5 to go we let in a second, and we managed to hold out against the 4th best team for 85 minutes. I'm not sure you can ask for much more than that. And don't forget, most of those highlights started with our central midfielders being robbed in possession, and our best one still suspended for the Fulham game, and then hopefully he'll be back for the double header against the Welsh teams over Christmas. As you'd expect, we're probably heavy underdogs for every game for the rest of the year, particularly this Fulham one coming up next. But of course, let me know in the comments what you think of our tactic, whether we should do anything different. I don't really have a choice. I'd like to have a 3rd central midfielder at this level, but we haven't even got 2 that are good enough, let alone 3. So I'm going to be leaving it at this one for now, but in January we might have a chance to change it, and we're going to be heavily reliant on our director of football. We desperately need him to get the work here. We need him to get central midfielders. I just hope he doesn't go and sign more wingers. You know, stupid things can happen at this level, so fingers crossed he'll be able to do the job for us, but I'm not too excited looking at his ratings. I'm worried we could have a few disasters yet. But if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for daily FM20 content. We've got 2 long-term stories. This one will be back in 2 days. Now, massive double header in the FA Cup against Wolves, top half of the Premier League, and then Leeds who are top of the Championship by 10 points. And of course, we'll hopefully have some January transfer news as well. In the meantime, we'll have Dorking Wanderers tomorrow, a 1-club series where we try to take them from the bottom to the top. We're gradually, steadily moving up. Not had the best start to this season though, so make sure you come along and check that one out. I'll need all the moral support I can get to avoid a second sacking in 2 series. Finally, I'm part of a podcast that does matchday vlogs and interviews, and you can see the links to the matchday vlogs playlist in the eye above. A massive thank you to everyone who's tried them so far. We love going to lower league football and we do appreciate your positive feedback. We've got a couple of other new series on there as well. You Are the Ref, which is a bit of a light-hearted one, and we have some serious discussions about injuries and how they've affected us as amateur footballers. A little bit harder hitting that one, so please do go and give them a try, and hopefully you'll enjoy them just as much. But a massive thanks for watching this one and following along for our 5th club of the series. It's a brand new club and there's plenty of work to do. We're going to need all the support we can get this series, so please do come and join along. And a massive thank you for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time for another big double header.